Lions, Vikings, and Bears. Oh my. We're talking about the week 4 waiver wire ads and trade targets right here on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Sky Guasco, filling in the big chair tonight, rocking a solo set. It's been quite a while since I've done a solo show, but I'm very excited to bring it to you for the week 4 waiver wire ads and trade targets. If you have not yet, please make sure to subscribe right here to the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube show right here on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell, make sure you're not missing any of our alerts. You can check out all of our nightly shows and, of course, our special start-sit show 3 hours before kickoff. It's 7 a.m. on the Pacific side with me, or 10 a.m. Eastern. We're kicking it off 3 hours before kickoff to make sure that you have all of your start-sit shows handled and ready to go. Very excited to get this kicked off for you this evening here. Once again, I'm your host, Sky Guasco, rocking a solo set here for the week 4 waiver wire ads. Going to be referencing Matt Styles' article once again from razzball.com. You can check out many of our articles, most of them free, right on the razzball.com website in the NFL tab. Of course, Razzball also handles baseball, hockey, basketball as well. But right now, we're talking football. Now, we've had a lot of injuries, of course, and we're going to be talking about trade targets in the second half of the episode as well. But before we do that, I do want to make sure that everybody, of course, is following myself on Twitter at Sky Guasco, SkyGuasco. You can also, of course, again, download the Razzball Fantasy Football podcast so you can catch us on the move anytime you're out walking the dog, doing the dishes, mowing the lawn, or just meandering through life. I like to have my headphones most of the time, even at the grocery store. I'll pop a podcast in while I'm getting some errands done, and Razzball is certainly top of the list. So make sure you download and subscribe, leave a rate and review to the Razzball Fantasy Football podcast show and the YouTube channel once again. All right, y'all, we're going to be blazing through this. I'm going to do my very best here to keep up. I got a lot of information for you. Feel free, of course, as always, to jump in the comments section. If you'd like to have any questions answered, maybe trade situations you have going on in your league, or maybe you're looking to pick up a player, but you want to know who to drop, feel free to jump in the comment section here, and I will do my best to keep up with y'all. We got a lot going on this evening as I'm rocking solo here. All right, let's jump into here. We are going to reference again Matt Styles' article. He drops a waiver wire article every single Tuesday. You can check it out at razzball.com in the NFL section there, the featured article today on Tuesdays. The number 1 waiver wire ad of the week. Spoiler alert, it was already on the front tab there as you saw the show pop up here. It's Khalil Herbert of the Chicago Bears, 50% rostered. Now, that's right on that cusp of us recommending a player, but when it's somebody that you have an opportunity to go get, then Khalil Herbert is certainly a player that I want to make sure that I can grab if possible. Now, Khalil Herbert was probably a late-round pick, definitely a handcuff for David Montgomery anyway, pre-draft season. But now David Montgomery goes down with a knee ankle injury, missed the majority of the game on week 3, opening the floodgates for Khalil Herbert for 157-2 on the day. Number 1 running back in fantasy football. He is already a top 10 running back with pretty much just one big game. So you want to check out Khalil Herbert if possible, and he's around. He also might be a trade ad as well. And if you had David Montgomery, you might want to get Khalil Herbert as insurance. I'm not as excited about Khalil Herbert if you are a team that is, say, 0-3, 1-2. Yes, he might give you one good week this week, but David Montgomery probably will not miss too much time with this injury. And I don't want you to be saddled, shelling out all your fab necessarily for Khalil Herbert for 1 week. However, if you're 2-1, you're 3-0, and you're looking for depth, I would absolutely look at Khalil Herbert. And if you have David Montgomery, regardless of your record, I would certainly go try to find him there. So the waiver wire ad of the week is running back Khalil Herbert of the Chicago Bears. Quarterbacks, couple names here, Daniel Jones and Marcus Mariota. Daniel Jones of the Giants, 23% rostered. And you have Marcus Mariota, 22% rostered. Again, neither one of these guys is incredible throwing the ball, but they both have rushing upside. If you're in super flex leagues or deep quarterback leagues, or you had any injury go down with your quarterback, or maybe you're a little bit worried about a guy like maybe Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz after a dud game, right? Or maybe you don't trust the big guns, or you're looking to make a trade, but then you can stream quarterbacks because the rest of your team is stacked. Take a look at Daniel Jones or potentially Marcus Mariota there as well as your streaming option. And again, look at the matchups. You do not want to play a great pass rush. You don't want to play a great secondary per se or a great overall defense, or maybe even a lower scoring team, because neither the Giants or the Falcons are putting up a ton of points every week. But these guys have some nice high upside floor possibilities, and we know that these guys are kind of that cheat code with the rushing ability. So keep an eye on Marcus Mariota and Daniel Jones as your streaming quarterbacks. All right, running back here. Another guy that could have been the featured running back, and in my opinion, probably the featured running back, it's Alexander Mattison. So Alexander Mattison is a running back for the Minnesota Vikings, 55% rostered. Again, over the cusp of 50%. We usually don't mention these kind of guys, but there are particular players like Mattison, like Herbert, that have the handcuff of ability, and you need to go out and get these guys. I drafted a guy like Alexander Mattison, Tony Pollard, Khalil Herbert in the 10th, 11th, 12th rounds of all of my leagues. So those guys aren't available in most of your leagues, right? Because somebody had that approach. Either as a handcuff for that number one running back ahead of them, or they were just looking ahead just in case of injury. Well, here we are on week 3, and we're already playing 2 of these guys, and Tony Pollard's taken over in Dallas as well. So for me, Madison's not available in the leagues because I either have him or somebody else on my team was savvy enough to get him, so he's not available. If he is available, though, in your leagues, I would highly recommend that you pay a significant amount of your fab to go get him. Now, if you have a $100 budget for easy math, I might do, 40%, 50%. So you're talking like $40, $50 and maybe half of your fab. Now, you might be thinking like, that's a lot. I might need it for the rest of the season. That's true, but you're most likely not going to find a player on the waiver that could have the impact, not only this week and next week with Dalvin Cook going down with another shoulder injury, but season long. Mattison could pop up. We've seen him over the last couple of years pop up for 2-3 games at a time. And when he does, with the exception of a game or two, he's pretty much Dalvin Cook. So keep an eye on Alexander Mattison. He is a guy that I'm actually willing to grab ahead of Khalil Herbert. To be honest with you, Matt has Khalil Herbert as his roster pickup of the week. I'm actually going to make mine Alexander Mattison. Now, less likely Mattison's available than Herbert, so it's probably a guy you should look at as well. But scan your waiver wires no matter what. And if you have Dalvin Cook, you better be paying big. And again, these guys are most likely waiver pickups more than trade targets. But if you need to go make a trade for one of these guys, do it. But you may have lost your opportunity because their stock has just skyrocketed there. Keep an eye on that. Dalvin Cook out for a couple of weeks for the Vikings. Alexander Mattison getting the work. All right, this one's kind of a deeper stash. I like this name that he put here. Gus Edwards, 12% rostered. This one's more of a deeper stash, a long-term play. If you're 3-0, you're 2-1, you're looking good. Maybe you have Dobbins. You haven't even played him yet, right? But he could make that start. He had a little minimal work last week, so he could be ramping up. But Gus Edwards is most likely going to be that immediate handcuff once he's healthy as well. So a deeper name, but you're always looking for a running back that could have a work and a role at all. So if you want somebody that's maybe a deeper play, feel free to go grab Gus Edwards. And again, only 12% rostered. So 88% chance that he's available in your league. So you should be okay there. A couple running back honorable mentions here, deeper guys, and these guys are probably not even rostered at all. So might be free off of waivers. You may not even have to spend fab on them. You can wait till waivers clear and then pick them up for free. Jaylen Warren of the Pittsburgh Football Steelers looking really nice. Only 9%. Najee's still not 100%. Kenny Pickett should be taking over here pretty soon. We'll see what this offense does, but Jaylen Warren's a nice deep stash at running back for the Steelers. Samaje Perine for the Cincinnati Bengals, only 6% rostered. Joe Mixon, also not great right now. He's number 16 in fantasy football right now as a running back, but he's not very elusive. He's not breaking tackles. He's not scoring. So Samaje Perine might be getting some more work. Maybe Joe Mixon's hurt. I'm not going to claim that he is, but if he is, you might see that moving forward. And then Craig Reynolds, a deep name here, 0% rostered. So it looks like Jamal Williams is going to be that guy in Detroit for DeAndre Swift, who's hurt now with a shoulder injury. But keep an eye on Craig Reynolds also, who's now the handcuff to Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams, highly rostered, so I didn't even put him on the list, but he's a guy you should be looking at as well. And then Craig Reynolds also. Once again, our running backs here are going to be Alexander Mattison and Khalil Herbert, if available. Gus Edwards, Jaylen Warren, Samaje Perine, Craig Reynolds. Keep an eye on those guys. For anybody jumping in here, feel free to hop in the comments. Let me know if you have any trade questions, any week 4 grabs. If you're looking to drop a particular player, you're not sure who it should be, let me know what your roster looks like and I can help you out. Of course, also, you can jump into our Sunday live show every single Sunday right here on the Razzball Fantasy Football live show on the YouTube channel. And we will be live 3 hours before kickoff every single week, answering hundreds of your listener and viewer questions. So don't be shy. Feel free to jump in there. Again, all articles available at razzball.com. Handful of wide receivers here for week 4 waiver wires. Noah Brown, 20% rostered for the Dallas Cowboys. 3 straight double-digit weeks, right? 2 of those, of course, with Cooper Rush. Michael Gallup has not yet played. Jalen Tolbert, not happening right now, unfortunately. Dalton Schultz is hurt. So keep an eye on Noah Brown. It's not a fancy name per se, but a little bit of a preseason hype, and now he's getting the work. So CeeDee Lamb finally exploded on Monday Night Football, but we haven't seen that from him yet. So if Jalen Tolbert's not coming through, Michael Gallup is still not 100%. Dalton Schultz is going down now. Can't really trust Zeke. And then, of course, you have Tony Pollard, but Noah Brown is that number 2 there. So if you're kind of struggling for wide receiver, you could look at Noah Brown for the Cowboys. Now, I'm so glad Greg Dortch, my boy Greg Dortch, I was repping him 2 weeks ago before it was cool. Greg Dortch for the Arizona Cardinals, 18% rostered. Look, this is basically just, it's just repetition, right? Greg Dortch has had 13, 15, 17 fantasy points over the last 3 weeks. Rondale Moore's out. He's been hurt. Nuke Hopkins is still out for a month, right? Hollywood Brown finally went nuts. 17 targets, 14 catches, right? So he's getting all the work. But Greg Dortch is working over the middle with Zach Ertz, and he's open all day long. And we know that somehow, for some reason, the Cardinals refuse to throw the ball downfield. So Greg Dortch is capitalizing over the middle of the field. And, of course, Hollywood's taking the top off deep. So I like Greg Dortch a lot. He's pretty much free. You have an 82% chance of getting him off of your waiver wires right now. Go get my man, Greg Dortch. And personally, I would rather have Greg Dortch over Noah Brown. A couple honorable mentions at the wide receiver position heading into week 4 here. Isaiah McKenzie for the Buffalo Bills, 42% managed. Now, just a couple weeks ago, he was 0% pretty much, right? Now he's already up to 42%. We know this Bills offense, while they came up short this week to Miami, they are a well-oiled machine, right? Stephon Diggs is out of his mind right now. Gabe Davis is playing well. Devin Singletary is playing well. Josh Allen is doing just fine, right? Although he had that kind of botched throw there at the end of the game. But Isaiah McKenzie is a great either wide receiver handcuff for one of those guys or just a deeper flex option once bye weeks pick up in the next couple of weeks. So take an eye on Isaiah McKenzie. Very efficient, scoring touchdowns. Josh Palmer for the Chargers, 27% rostered. Again, Keenan Allen's still out. Mike Williams, kind of boom or bust. Justin Herbert, kind of in a downswing because of the rib injury, but he should be better moving forward over the next month. And so far, Austin Eckler averaging 2.9 yards per carry on the ground, and he's not getting a ton of targets per se in Austin Eckler standards, and he hasn't scored yet. So they might be looking elsewhere. Love me some Josh Palmer. Romeo Doubs finally broke out with the Packers last week. 27% roster, 2 touchdowns there. Zay Jones is arguably the number 1 wide receiver for the Jaguars right now, 11% rostered. That's it. 89% opportunity. You can grab him. He's catching touchdowns, 100-yard games, multiple double-digit target games. So keep an eye on Zay Jones there. Mac Hollis for the Raiders, filling in for Hunter Renfrow, but Devontae Adams isn't doing it for you either. So Mac Hollins is not a long-term option, but again, if you're scraping or you're in a deeper 14, 16, 18 team league, maybe a dynasty league where there's limited options anyway, I would take a look at Mac Hollis there for the Raiders. Just 3% rostered, so great opportunity that you would be able to grab him. We'll go through the tight ends, and I'll take a quick break here before we get into the trade targets. Tight ends, Tyler Conklin for the Jets, 23% rostered. Now, Matt Stiles, who writes this article that I'm referencing right now, again, free on razzball.com for the waiver wire pickups. My article is also free for the trade targets and trade buy lows and sell highs that you can get for free on the website. Tyler Conklin was mentioned last week. Came out again, right? 11 points, 10 points, 16 points as a tight end. Basically, if you don't have one of the top dogs, top 5 guys, right? Andrews, Kelsey, Pitts, Waller, Kittle, then you're looking for somebody that you can either stream or that you can set it and forget it. And for me, there's a couple guys that you can do that with, and Tyler Conklin's one of them. Joe Flacco has historically loved his tight ends. So if Joe Flacco remains the quarterback, I love Tyler Conklin. Zach Wilson coming in, not so much. I just don't think he's that good yet. He's not quite developed. He's suffered many injuries, so maybe he's just not that reliable. And we don't know what the offense is going to look like per se with Zach Wilson back. Many backups have actually been much better than Zach Wilson when given the opportunity when he's been hurt. So Joe Flacco might actually be better for Tyler Conklin long term, but he's a guy that I want on my roster if I'm streaming tight ends. A couple honorable mentions here. Again, we're talking deep dives here at the tight end position. If you don't have a big five, then you're looking at one of the streamers anyway. These are some ugly names, so keep an eye here. Robert Tonyan of the Packers, 29% rostered. That offense is starting to pick up. They got blown out in week 1. They've won 2 games in a row. They're looking real good. Keep an eye on the Packers. Daniel Bellinger for the Giants, 1% rostered, right? Sterling Shepard goes down on Monday Night Football, done for the season. Kenny Galladay is obviously not it. Keep an eye on Daniel Bellinger getting some more work as a rookie there. And Jelani Woods for the Colts, not rostered across the board. Mo Alley Cox is that guy, but he's been banged up a little bit as well. This offense is not rolling. Michael Pittman's been in and out of the lineup. Paris Campbell's unreliable. Jonathan Taylor's the running back 10 on the year, not running back 1. Matt Ryan historically loves his tight ends. Jelani Woods could be somebody that you could potentially stream with if you're looking at streaming tight ends. All right. I appreciate y'all joining in here. I'm going to pause just for a second. Again, my name is Sky Guasco. I am your host for this episode of the Week 4 Waiver Wire Ads and Trade Targets. You can find me on Twitter at Sky Guasco, SkyGuasco. Of course, you can find all things Razzball at razzball.com or football.razzball.com to bring you straight there. If you go to razzball.com, just look at the top bar and you can navigate through each sport. Now, of course, we have all of our slot versus wide opportunities and articles that Bob spends so much time on, and all of our great graphs to help you with trades. We have all these great opportunities, a trade finder, an analyzer, and a start sit tool. You can also join us every single Sunday morning for the Start Sit Show, which happens 3 hours prior to kickoff, 7 a.m. on Pacific time, 10 a.m. on the Eastern time. So make sure to reach out to us and let us know what your Start Sit questions are for each week. I'm going to pause just for a second and get a quick sip of water, and I will be back. I see we have a question here in the thread. Feel free to jump in the comment section if you'd like to while I'm taking a quick break. Let me know if you have any trade questions, buying or selling, or if you have any Week 4 waiver wire ad questions as well. I'm just going to take a 10-second break, get a sip of water here, and we'll get into my questions and Week 4 trade targets. All righty, let's bring it up here. Roster grade and recommendations. Jalen Hurts, Diggs, Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Bateman, Elijah Moore, Jameson Williams, Allen Robinson, Kyle Pitts, C.E.H. Gibson, Edmonds, Hunt, ETN, San Francisco defense. So, you want 10-team standard scoring. Appreciate that. No kickers, extra flex. Thank you. So in a standard league, let's take a look at the rushing quarterback, right? Jalen Hurts, love it. Outside of Lamar and Josh Allen, he's the best quarterback in fantasy football right now. Love it. Stephon Diggs, top wide receiver in fantasy football, followed by A.J. Brown, who is also number 4 in receiving yards so far in the NFL. Justin Jefferson, obviously, he had an incredible week 1, kind of a dud week last 2 weeks. They will adjust. I'm not worried about it. Without Dalvin Cook in the lineup, I expect them to force the ball to Jefferson. So, of course, I love that. Bateman, I love too, as your 1, 2, 3 wide receiver 4. Love that. Elijah Moore, he's okay. Honestly, I'd rather flip him out for somebody else if I can. Maybe some running back depth. Jameson Williams hasn't played yet. Allen Robinson, I could do without. Honestly, I would try to maybe package Elijah Moore and Allen Robinson to some team that needs wide receivers and go get another strong running back if you possibly can. Obviously, I love Kyle Pitts. I think he'll be just fine. He was a trade buy for me last week after 2 duds. He was tight end 39 last week when I did this show, and now he bumped up with a big game. I expect that to continue. So love Kyle Pitts. CEH, Gibson, Edmonds, Hunt, ETN. Look, all solid PPR. These are all actually like PPR backs in a standard league, which I think is interesting. But CEH playing very well. Number 4 in fantasy football right now in half PPR. Gibson, again, playing well as long as he gets to work, but I expect Brian Robinson to come up soon. Edmonds, hit or miss. Hunt, hit or miss. ETN, hit or miss. So I would like, if you can go out and get a stud running back, I would really like that. So try to go like A-Rob maybe and Elijah Moore, maybe even Edmonds as well, and go try to get a number 1 stud, set it and forget it running back. Christian McCaffrey is even somebody that you might be able to go get. Alvin Kamara potentially, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, those kind of guys that are low right now or due to injury, but you might be able to go get them. Or if you can wait, then maybe DeAndre Swift. San Francisco defense, I love it. You know, the Broncos are not good, and the Niners offense is not good either, but it should be okay moving forward. Appreciate you jumping in there. All right, y'all, let's flip the script and get into my week 4 trade targets. So again, you can find my article on razzball.com for free. I won't go through all of my notes here, so you can read my article and get that in-depth analysis, but I'll just kind of mention these names here. And again, if you'd like to jump in the comments before we get out in the next 10, 15 minutes, feel free and I'll answer as many questions as I can. My quarterback, my buy low quarterback. This might be a little bit of a reach because I don't know if you can even get him at all. Certainly not low. But Justin Herbert of the Chargers is my buy low. I know his ribs are fractured. He's clearly an issue right now, but he won't be cheap. But if you can do like Russell Wilson and a piece, or Tua Tagovailoa and a bench piece, and go try to get, you know, Justin Herbert. Like if I could do Russ and Elijah Moore or Tua and Allen Robinson and go get Justin Herbert, I would absolutely do that. He's only going to get better. He's only going to get more healthy. Keenan Allen's been out pretty much the whole season so far. Austin Eckler's not Austin Eckler yet. And Justin Herbert's been hurt for 2 weeks. Once all that clicks in the next, you know, week 5, week 6, week 7, this should be one of the top 3 scoring offenses in the league. I had a dark horse, you know, bold prediction that Justin Herbert would throw 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards this year. Might be a little bit tough at this point, you know, 3-4 weeks in, but I still think he can be absolutely elite when he gets back healthy. So buy low on Justin Herbert if you can. Running back, Aaron Jones of the Green Bay Packers. 47 total yards last week in week 3. He's still the number 7 running back in PPR with a massive week 2, right? A little bit boom bust, but we thought A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones would be sidekicks, right? Like top and bottom. They're not. A.J. Dillon's outside the top 15 right now. Aaron Jones, top 7. So I like that. He gets the Patriots, the Giants, the Jets, the Commanders, the Bills, and the Lions over the next 6 games. The only matchup, or matchups, I should say, that make me nervous in those for a running back are the Patriots, just because of the Patriots, and the Bills. But in the Patriots game, I think the Packers could smoke the Patriots right now. They're not going to have Mac Jones. They're a little bit beat up on both sides of the ball. I think the Packers are starting to kick up, and the Patriots are winding down. I think the Patriots can potentially get run out, and if they do, could be a lot of Aaron Jones running out the clock, if not A.J. Dillon. Giants, Jets, Commanders, I'm not worried about. Lions, I'm not worried about. The Buffalo Bills. This might be a great scenario for Aaron Jones. If they're dumping down and passing with great pass rush, and they're covering up with that great secondary, those wide receivers that Aaron Rodgers doesn't trust, what's he going to do? He's going to dump down to Aaron Jones, which he's used to doing. Aaron Jones can make great plays after the catch. Love that as an upside play there. So for me, Aaron Jones is an easy grab right now. He had 5.7 PPR points last week. Go get him while you can. Wide receiver, Chris Olave. I love these rookie wide receivers starting to come out of the, you know, dusting off the freshness, the freshman year, if you will, in the pros. Garrett Wilson got a little bit beat up, but he's been excellent for the Jets. Drake London and Treylon Burks are looking really good. Jahan Dotson's looking excellent for the Washington Commanders as well. And now we got Chris Olave also. Now, Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry both got injured last week in week 3. Olave already has a role in this offense, and it should increase with both of those guys beat up. If they miss any significant time, Olave's the number 2, and then maybe the number 1 if they both miss time. 13 targets in consecutive games after just 3 in week 1 is massive for a rookie wide receiver. He still hasn't scored, and he's PPR wide receiver 22 on the season. So if you throw in a couple touchdowns, which Michael Thomas has scored, Landry scored, if you throw in a couple touchdowns, he's probably a top 15 wide receiver as a rookie, and the number 3 and 4, if you want to count Alvin Kamara, on his team there. So I'm already getting the vibe that Chris Olave could potentially be an Amon-Ra St. Brown from last year. Don't miss it. Go get him while you can. My buy low tight end is David Njoku. Now, this one's silly. You might be able to get Njoku for free off of the waivers. So if you could do that, then just go do that, obviously. But if you're streaming quarter or tight ends, as we mentioned earlier with Tyler Conklin, I would actually go look at David Njoku. The whole offense is Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt in the running game, and then you have Amari Cooper and David Njoku. So for me, if you don't have one of the top guys, again, I want the talent of Njoku. Brissett is throwing to the tight ends quite a bit. That Kevin Stefanski's always done that in that offense. Give me Njoku, and he's going to be free. He's going to be super cheap. If you have to get him in a trade, you probably get him off of waivers. But I like David Njoku as a buy low tight end. Got a quick question over here. Let me pause for a quick note here before I get into my sell highs. Let's get back to this question. I tried to shop Gibson. I think more will get more when Wilson comes back. Want a running back? Totally agree there. You're very welcome, man. Thank you so much. Make sure that you're subscribed to the show if you're not already. Really appreciate you jiving with us. And join us on Sunday mornings, 3 hours before kickoff, right here on the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube show for all the start-sit questions. Alex is jumping in here. Should I trade DJ Moore and Dalton Schultz for Mike Evans? Full PPR, I have Higbee. Yes, I would do that. Schultz is hurt. He's going to be out for a little bit. DJ Moore, he was in my sell high last week. Right? I don't even know if you can sell him high because he's been horrendous, but it's not him. Baker Mayfield is playing scared. Christian McCaffrey's still giving you 18 fantasy points, but that's not 28 that you expect for Christian McCaffrey, right? This offense is just terrible. And they're running the fewest plays in the league outside of Seattle and Chicago, which are dreadful offenses. I would absolutely move off of DJ Moore and Dalton Schultz. Mike Evans missed a game. So for people who aren't paying attention, his totals are less than most other people right now because he missed a game, but he was suspended, remember, for a little WWF on Marshawn Lattimore. He was not hurt, or he's not hurt right now. And again, Chris Godwin's still out. Gronk and AB are gone. I'm sorry I keep saying that. It just happens in my brain. And then Julio Jones is still hurt, right? Mike Evans will be that guy, and Tom Brady needs somebody reliable big time. So, yes, I would do that, and you already have Higbee. That's a big trade long-term, but I do like it if you need to get the wins right now. All right, here we go. It's just Hoven. Appreciate it. Should I trade Justin Jefferson for CMC? Man, you're talking big guns right now. I need to know all sorts of stuff about this question, but in a vacuum, it's going to be PPR or not, right? I mean, PPR doesn't really matter with both these guys are both studs. If you need a running back, yes. If you don't need a running back, I would stick with Justin Jefferson. Love Christian McCaffrey, but he's got that kind of injury woe, if you will, and I don't love this offense, but he has not scored. If he scores, he's going to give you those elite numbers. Justin Jefferson, though, huge week one. He gave you that potential. 2 down weeks. He's almost like a buy low, if you will. So this one's really tough, to be honest. If you can give me in the next 3 minutes, if you can give me some backstory on like if you need a running back or wide receiver, that would help me. In a vacuum, I would actually stick with Jefferson. But if you need a running back at all, like if you had Swift or something and he went down, or maybe you had CMC and Dalvin Cook somehow, or somebody like that, and your top dog went down and you're hurting it at wide receiver with Jefferson, then I would go ahead and get CMC there. Appreciate you guys jumping in the comment section. That's always fun. All right, a couple sell highs and we'll get out of here. My sell high quarterback, Carson Wentz. Seems obvious here, but I got to throw it in there. QB3 over the first 2 weeks back-to-back. He posted 30-plus fantasy points there, but now he has, got absolutely destroyed. 9 sacks against the Philadelphia Eagles. Great defense there. He's still the QB5 on the season, though. So, again, people less maybe educated or paying attention in fantasy football might be like, man, you got the QB5 overall, bro, like killing it, right? You might be able to shop that a little bit heavier, but I would do it quickly because I expect him to fall outside of the top 5 for sure. Maybe even the top 10, though, over the next couple of weeks, now that the league is going to adjust a little bit to Carson Wentz throwing bombs. So I'd love maybe like Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, even Marcus Mariota in a piece. I would like to go shop Wentz for that if I possibly can. Running back, Cordarrelle Patterson, again, seems obvious, but this one could go either way. I think a lot of people are trying to acquire Cordarrelle Patterson. I personally am looking to sell high if I can. Now, Kyle Pitts is finally starting to emerge. Tyler Algier is going to be that top running back eventually, or at least he's a high-end handcuff, being pretty productive there. You also have Damian Williams, who's coming back off of injury. Drake London's going to be that true number one here before too long. And basically, like over the first 3 games, right, and the surprising campaign of last year, Patterson has lived up to the hype, but he's not actually getting the receiving work, which is strange. It's all through the run game right now. So if you can get him, moved a little bit, Patterson's, the running back 6 right now. If you can get him moved off for somebody else, right, depth piece or like Javonte Williams, who's not producing very well or something like that, I would absolutely make that move if you can. I would just sell while you're able to with Cordarrelle Patterson. Wide receiver, Marquise Hollywood Brown for the Arizona Cardinals. 17 targets, as I mentioned earlier, is amazing, but 140 yards on 14 targets for a guy that does like deep threat, deep runs. Now, that's 10 yards per target. That's not very good. That's good for a slot receiver. That's not good for a deep out route receiver and a deep bomb receiver. The Cardinals are decimated at wide receiver. He's getting extra opportunity, and they're not throwing the ball deep. These are all red flags, in my opinion, for Hollywood Brown long term. His long on the season, like Hollywood's usually 30, 40, 50, 60-yard bombs. His long on the season, week 1, 26 yards. Week 2, 24 yards. Week 3, just 20 yards, right? He should be seeing 50-plus yard bombs. I'd like to get Cortland Sutton, Garrett Wilson plus a piece, maybe even Devontae Adams if there's a super frustrated manager that drafted him in the second round. I'd like to move off of Marquise Brown if I can. I mentioned Tyler Conklin earlier as my tight end, but I'll mention him again. Nobody wants him. I can't imagine you'll be able to sell him by any means, but he is the tight end 3. And as the tight end 3, guys like Robert Tonyan and Darren Waller back in the day and Logan Thomas emerge, and people are like, oh, that's not going to stick. That's not going to stick. That's not going to stick. And then it sticks. So maybe just hang on to Tyler Conklin if you're streaming because you might not have a better option. But if you had like George Kittle and you're waiting for him to emerge, and now he's looking a little bit better, he's finally playing, he's coming back, so you can get rid of him, and somebody needs a tight end, this might be the only opportunity you have to sell a player that you probably got for free off of waivers. So give a shot at getting rid of Tyler Conklin. Once again, my buy lows, Justin Herbert, Aaron Jones, Chris Olave, David Njoku, my sell highs, Carson Wentz, Cordarrelle Patterson, Marquise Brown, and Tyler Conklin for the trade targets. Let me minimize this down here, and I'll get to a couple more of your questions, and we will head out. I really appreciate everybody hanging out with me tonight. Again, I know this is a lot of my voice. Rolling solo this evening. You find me on Twitter. Give me a follow. I'd much appreciate it. At Sky Guasco, SkyGuasco. You can follow Razball as well, at Razball Fantasy. Catch us right here and subscribe, and make sure to hit the bell and leave a comment below in the comment section here on YouTube as well. And then you can catch us every single Sunday morning, 3 hours before kickoff, before our Start Sit show. You can catch me at 7 a.m. Pacific time on my side, or 10 a.m. Eastern, for a couple hours of Start Sit. All right, couple more. I love this. Thank you for tuning back in here. So half PPR, running backs already: Leonard Fournette, Ramondre Stevenson, Melvin Gordon, Elijah Mitchell on IR, of course, and Alexander Mattison. Love that. Wide receivers: Justin Jefferson, Pittman, Cortland Sutton, Jahan Dotson. I got to be honest, man. That's really, really tough. I suppose in a half PPR league, I would want CMC over JJ. You got Pittman, Sutton, and Dotson, who are really solid. Lenny's great, but can he hold up with the workload? Melvin Gordon, Ramondre, and Elijah Mitchell are, obviously hit or miss. And then Alexander Madison's going to be great probably for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But if Dalvin comes back, are you going to lose that too? So it's a big move, man, but I would do it. Justin Jefferson for CMC. That's a big one, bro. Yo, what up, Che? Ambrose, shout out from Wyoming. I love Wyoming. My band's played in Wyoming quite a bit here. We play out at Lander. Of course, Laramie and Cheyenne and things as well, but love the backcountry out there. So thank you for tuning in from Wyoming. I was just in Montana 2 weeks ago playing some music, so I love that part of the country. In a full PPR, my running backs are Kamara, Swift, and Dillon. With Swift out, can I start Kamara and Dillon? Or should I use my number one waiver claim to grab Jamal Williams and start for the second week, second week start too. Okay. Let's see here. Kamara and Dillon, or your number one waiver claim on Jamal Williams. I would go get Jamal Williams. And to be honest with you, I still might even play Kamara and Dillon. Catch us on the Sunday live show when we get more opportunity and notoriety on the week, and see if any D linemen are out or anything. But I definitely want, Kamara and Dillon, I think are fine. You should already have Jamal Williams, but I would go get him with your waiver claim if you can, because Swift is probably going to be out for a couple of weeks. Jamal Williams is that guy. Even when Swift comes back, Jamal Williams is still chucking into that. So it's weird to say it, but I love pieces of this Detroit Lions offense. So I would do it, man. I know a lot of people like to hang on to that number one waiver claim, but you hang on to it for these opportunities. If Alexander Mattison's available or Khalil Herbert's available, I might go get those guys instead. But if they're not, then absolutely Jamal Williams would be my next guy. Great question, Shay. All right. Griffin tuning in here. Trade Cook and Mattison for Kamara and Brandon Cooks. Oh, boy. No. I would keep whoever's healthy for Cook and Mattison over Kamara and Brandon Cooks. Love me some Davis Mills. I hyped him up all season long, but it's not working out there necessarily with Houston, and Kamara has not clicked yet. So I would actually keep Mattison and Cook. And I know they want the package, but I'd rather have that Vikings running back. Homer Simpson. Never thought this day would come. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, homie, to hit us up. Thank you so much. What should I do with Zeke? That's a really great question. This is maybe the highlight of Zeke's, I don't know. I mean, he played well, right? National TV game, finally gave us a little something to cheer about. I would try to sell him immediately if you possibly can. Absolutely. I would get rid of Zeke if you can. You're very welcome for the input. Absolutely. Completely different trade. Michael Pittman, Melvin Gordon, Jahan Dotson trade for Josh Allen and Tyler Boyd. Wow. Assuming you need a quarterback, you're streaming, I would imagine. Josh Allen and Tyler Boyd for Jahan Dotson, Melvin Gordon, and Michael Pittman. I don't care about Melvin Gordon. Michael Pittman, I love, but I just don't know that he's going to be that hyped. And Jahan Dotson, I really like it emerging, but we'll see. Tyler Boyd's the number 3 for Cincinnati. If you need a quarterback that bad, go ahead and do it, because Josh Allen by himself is a difference maker. All right, Griffin is back. If I got Keenan instead of Cooks, would it be good? Yes. So let's bring that one back up here. And thank you for – so would you trade Cook and Mattison, Dalvin Cook and Mattison for Kamara and Keenan Allen? Now you're talking. Yes, I would do that. Now, of course, you got to wait for Keenan Allen to get healthy, and Justin Herbert's a little bit beat up right now, whatever. But like long-term, I definitely want Keenan Allen over Brandon Cooks, and I'm good with Kamara. Probably who's a wash with the Vikings running back long-term. So, yes, if you could do Keenan Allen instead of Kamara, I would definitely make that move. All right, y'all. That's a lot. I'm a little over time here, but I had to stick around and hang out with you and do the start sits here. So appreciate all the trade talk. Appreciate all the waiver claims. Again, go to rasball.com right now. Go get the free articles. Matt Stiles drops the waiver article every Tuesday. I drop the trade targets every single Tuesday. Then we have our episode. Matt will be back with me next week. Very excited. And join us every single Sunday, 3 hours before kickoff, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern time for all your start sit questions. When you jump in there, let us know if it's half PPR, full PPR, super flex, tight end premium, whatever, so it can help us out. Any accommodations are appreciated here at the Rasball Fantasy Football YouTube show, and any of those go to our friends at Good Sports, of course, helping the youth play sports. 10% of donations go to youth sports. 9 million children have been served over 50 states. 6,100 youth organizations are eligible. 55,000 individual play packs have been distributed, and almost $90 million of equipment distributed across the country for these kids. Make sure you hit them up. Make sure you leave me a rate and review right here on the YouTube channel, a subscribe, and hit the bell as well. Give me a follow on Twitter, Sky Guasco, SKYGUASCO, and make sure to hit Rasball Fantasy on Twitter as well. And of course, download the podcast. Download the podcast, leave a rate and review, subscribe there too. Rasball Fantasy Football Podcast. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on a solo episode. This has been the Week 4 waiver wire ads and trade targets. I'm your host, Sky Guasco. We'll catch you later on this week and, of course, Sunday morning. Best of luck, everybody, on your waivers. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.